At what point did you see this to be the thing you really want to do?
For me, aviation was always in me. And at a very, very young age, growing up here, you don't really find that opportunity to,
Explore that side of things. Yeah.
if that's something that you really, really want to do.
Right. Do you get to experience the places you go?
Oh, yeah, you do. Sometimes, you spend a lot of time in some place. Like, I remember one time I was in Hong Kong for like 6 days.
Oh, so usually, right, I know when you have a long flight, what's the longest you sat flying a plane?
15 hours. I did
15 hours.
But it was Chicago one time.
I know you actually are an alumni of Embredo, right? And that's like the Harvard of aviation, right?
I think so.
I'm sure you're the only Ghanaian there.
Oh, no.
If you're on a flight, what type of music are you listening to?
I actually don't listen to music while I'm flying, yeah.
Even as a passenger?
As a passenger, I typically don't listen to music.
All right, so imagine being a 13-year-old guy stepping on the plane for the first time, not just as a passenger, but as somebody who hopefully will build his dream in the aviation space. Well, that's Eric Tetteh, my guest for today. Over the past 8 and more years, he's been flying planes like the Boeing 727, 747, 757, 767, and the Embraer 175. This gentleman has flown to 84 countries and is counting, and he happens to be my guest for today. From going to an institution like Embredo, which is the institution that makes the elites in the aviation space, to coming to the shores of Accra, Ghana. My guest for today is Eric, and hopefully you guys get to learn something amazing from him, the aviation space, and all that it entails. So stick and stay, keep chasing greatness, and I hope you do enjoy this episode. All right, Eric, thanks so much for coming around. And thanks for flying in. It took us about 3 months to get here, but you're finally here.
I'm very excited to be here.
Fantastic.
I have to be here for you,
Bro, you if you hadn't come, it would have been a whole issue. So it's great to have you finally here. And I hope you have a great conversation today.
Definitely.
Fantastic. So
forward to it.
Let's take it back a bit, okay? Before the planes, before the pilot uniform, for everything, who was Eric Tetteh?
Well, Eric was a young boy, was growing up here in Ghana.
Mm-hmm.
Excited about a few things. Very involved in sports, as you know.
He's a super footballer who never actually made it happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I had a great, upbringing here in Ghana. I was very excited for so many things, whether it was school or work or career or any of that stuff, It was all exciting times, I'll say. So all that has shaped me to, where I am today. And yeah.
It's testament to the hard work you also put in. Growing up, I've known you for, I should say, how many years? How long have we known each other? I think we were probably like 6 years old.
About that,
yeah. 6 years, and now how old are we? We can't tell the people our age, so let's move past that conversation. Old enough, yeah. Once you have a beard and you are, paying bills, you're old enough. You're old enough. Exactly. But yeah, bro, it's very important to actually have you on this conversation, because everybody has this fascination about flights and planes, and we go to the airports and we see all these major planes and the pilots come out. At what point did you see this to be the thing you really want to do?
Well, that's a very good question. I'm not the traditional, guy that, mostly had somebody in their family growing up saying that, okay,
right,
like this guy or this.
Right.
For me, aviation was always in me. And at a very, very young age, growing up here, you don't really find that opportunity to,
explore that side of things. Yeah.
If that's something that you really, really want to do.
Right.
So when I was 13 years old, I was about to go to an aviation camp that was in Utah.
Okay.
So that was where I flew on airplane for the
very first time.
Very first time.
Fantastic.
And that was it.
So was it like a vacation you were going on?
It was a vacation.
When you decided to explore the aviation side?
So they have these like summer camps.
Right.
That was where I went to one of those there, and I figured that, hey,
sparked up the whole
and that was it.
Thing. So what was the experience? Was it like becoming a pilot? But most people don't have, like, I won't call the resources, but just the platform to actually make it happen. So what was the thought process at that point? Was it like, I'm going to do anything to really fly a plane one day, make this a career? Or what happened? Like, take me through the thought process at that point. Was it just like a dream that you hoped will actually manifest itself?
Also, the way for me worked out was, I mean, I kind of knew where I wanted to be, end goal.
Right.
And the issue was, how do we actually get there?
Get there.
So for me, my family has been very, very
Supportive, right?
I must say, like, how they say, like, growing up in Ghana, you have these crazy, and then sometimes you show up to your parents like, hey, I want to do this.
Yeah, like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So for me, I was very lucky to say, that I had that support, from family that said, just go do what you want to do, and hopefully you're good at it.
Right. And
that was it for me.
And here we are. Yeah. So I mean, I'm sure your parents are very proud of.
I hope so.
The mad. I mean, I've seen your mom look at you recently. I was like, hey, this woman has to be proud of you, because I mean, what you've been able to do, and I think in this limited time, I think it's something worth emulating. And we talk about aviation and its rudiments and the whole world of aviation, right? How is it like just making sure that people who you're flying are safe, they're calm, and it's everything that's in place? What happens? The training process, everything. What happens?
So everything that we do, like I said, it's in this industry. Every day is a different day. You cannot really know what's going to happen. I mean, every day is a different day. So as much as possible, you are trained, to expect some things, but then there are also some things that are beyond your control. So as much as you have that training and you go through,
what you're supposed to go through, yeah,
that's really all that you can rely on.
Right.
That's how.
I mean, and that's basically preparation, meeting opportunity that you have and everything. And I know you actually are an alumni of Embredo, right? And that's like the Harvard of aviation, right?
I think so.
Right. You need to give them some, some shout outs right here. Yeah. Because so what was the experience like when you got to Embredo? Was it like, is everything I ever expected? Or at that point you were like, this is pretty intense?
Embredo was a great place to be, I must say. I mean, it was an education institute where, you met people from like all walks of life. I mean,
everywhere.
Like, we were like, the whole campus was 4,000 people maybe.
Globally? What was like the...
So there are a few campuses. I was the one in Daytona Beach.
Okay.
Largest one.
Right.
There's one in Arizona, and then there's the worldwide one. So so many different ones all over the world. So, I mean, you'll be surprised for like a school for like 4,000 people or 5,000 people. There was literally like everybody from like almost everywhere. Like almost everywhere in the world. Yeah.
But I'm sure you're the only Ghanaian there.
Oh, no. Well, in my program at the time, I was, but then there were people doing their masters that were also from here. I met about maybe 6 people.
6 Ghanaians?
At the time, yeah.
Oh, nice.
At the time, yeah. And then there were probably 1 or 2 that were also there that I just didn't know.
No, right. But that means a large, group of students, so you might not meet everybody.
It's a big school,
right.
But then for what you get, I mean, there was very diverse. Very, very, very diverse.
Very diverse, yeah.
Different thing everywhere.
Crazy. So I'm sure, I mean, getting to campus. So when you guys start the entire training process, I know obviously it just doesn't set out the first they give you the cockpit to sit in and everything, right? Do you guys go through a lot of like theory before you?
So I went to a traditional 4-year school, outside.
Right.
So then we had like
the basic degree.
Thing. So then we had our ground school lessons, then we had our orals, and then we had sims, and we had actual flight as well.
Flight, right.
So the way the flight program actually works is in my school it's called a 141 program. So basically that's like the FA requirement for, if you want to get a reduction, how many hours that you need to actually progress on to the airlines.
Right.
And even this changed, 2013, I think it was. So then there are also some people that will also go to, let's say, local flight school.
Right. And then meet you guys halfway or something?
Yeah, so there's some people that kind of do half and half of it.
Right.
There's so many ways that you could...
Different ways to get to the top, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it was more like I was basically doing 2 things in one. Basically, going to school, taking regular college kids, you know.
Yeah, it's it's going through it there. Right.
As well too. So there were times when, like, I remember when I was in my instrument rating, for example, I mean, I'll have some class at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I'll be done at like 2 o'clock, maybe go do, I don't know, whatever sports or clubs or anything like that.
So it was like a campus.
Yeah, and then after that, I still had to go to
flight school. Right. Right.
Like a block where I was, you know, basically in class from like 8 till 1 a.m. basically sometimes. It just depends on the day and, you know, what you had to do.
Right. And obviously your examination had to do with both like practical.
Correct.
And also theory.
Exactly. So that was, so basically you had like an oral and then you had to do an actual flight as well.
Yeah. Right. So what point did you hold the wheel, or shall I say, what do you guys call it? The steering wheel?
Yoke.
The yoke, okay.
I mean, that was like day one, basically.
Day one.
So day one, you do what is called a discovery flight, which is like, you know, you just go out there and just, you know, just have a feel of it.
But with somebody saying like,
Yeah. So that was basically what it was. I mean, day one, you do that, and then you have your orals, and then you have sims and flights. But yeah, it was a interesting experience. You know, I definitely enjoyed the days that
Embredo, right. And as I'm sure you have a large alumni network.
Yeah, it's massive.
People, and I'm sure not all pilots. There are people who actually went into the industry of, you know, aviation and other aspects of.
So most people go there for aviation related stuff, and you having like engineers. Yeah.
Okay.
Go there for math or, you know.
Right.
Different things.
But at the end of the day, I mean, there's still the same alumni. So that's great. I mean, so looking at Embredo, I mean, we're talking about school, transitioning from being a student to being the professional you are now. How has it been? I mean, I know you moved from flight instructor to then you went into cargo, and now you're into commercial aviation, and now you're flying for Delta Airlines, right? What has been the most intense moment in your process? Like, was it just the transition phase or the student phase, or you actually being given the full responsibility of being the captain of the plane?
So for me, I'll say every stage has its interesting challenges when it comes to this. So for example, when I was an instructor, right? I mean, you're basically learning to teach people, you know, who haven't done this thing before.
Right.
And if, you know, heard this before, the more you do something, the more you understand it.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I remember like there were some things that when I was teaching people how to do, I was like, hey, I actually know how to do this.
Yeah, bro.
And then now I'm like, wait, actually, this is now making sense.
Yeah.
It's actually teaching somebody how to do it.
Yeah.
And that was a whole different, you know, but then I enjoyed my time doing that.
Right.
I enjoyed teaching it.
The students were probably did you have anyone coming in? I mean, they have the desire to become a pilot or be in the aviation space, but they're really scared of heights. Or that is a prerequisite before you get in. You must not be afraid of heights or planes.
I had some students actually who, I wouldn't say they were afraid to fly, but for them was more so being exposed to it. And all this just comes with the approach that you use.
Right. Reassuring them.
Yeah, just reassuring them. And also, you know, don't get me wrong, you have some people there as well too who didn't really want to do this. They actually forced into it.
Daddy says come to aviation school, so you might, yeah. So you can tell there's a difference in passion.
100%.
Like the commitment to their course and everything was different.
I mean, you had guys from like, you know, elsewhere that, you know, let's say Middle East, for example. You know, those guys who
and they had a bag at home. And Daddy was like, yo.
Basically, government is saying that go, you know, we're basically paying to go to be in school.
Right.
Those guys just didn't care.
Right.
Just doing things on their own time.
I mean, the abundance of opportunity, some people just don't see
some people don't realize what they have until
it's just too late. Yeah. Right. I mean, and that's incredible. That's incredible. So, looking at, I mean, from the flight attendant to the pilot and to the person sitting in the plane as just a traveler. From my perspective, right, I obviously think you guys are the end all be all of the whole plane, right? What do you guys feel like? How does it feel like when you guys have people, you know, in those seats and maybe there's a turbulence, right, and they are freaking out, and you guys have to keep them cool, right? Does it affect you, or you guys are like, oh, yo, keep quiet, like we are going to get this thing over and done with?
So it depends on what kind it is. For example, like we don't necessarily deal with that stuff because we are up in front.
Right.
The door's shut. Those that are behind us.
Right. So we'll focus on what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, you just have to get the seatbelt sign on and just make an announcement and say, hey, you shouldn't be around right now because it's not
safe at this time. Yeah.
To be around. So we don't necessarily have to deal with that. But then, of course, you have some people who are afraid of, flying and all that stuff. So it's up to us initially. That's if we know that, hey, out of time, you can reassure them.
Right.
I mean, I literally had a passenger one time. I was flying from, I think, was it Dublin? I think it was just last summer. We come back to New York.
Right.
I mean, she literally shows up to the airplane and you can still like this girl's afraid to fly.
Crazy.
And then she asked, hey, is there going to be any bumps or anything of that sort? I mean, we have to be
100%. Yeah.
Which, I mean, there were. So, I mean, we let her know it's not going to be for this long. It's going to be around this time, this kind of what you should expect. And we give her the option of, hey, do you want to, be on? Because we're not going to say, hey, we're not going to just say, oh, it's going to be. I mean,
okay, because you have to be real to the person. Yeah.
With them. And, but yeah, she didn't. I mean, she literally came on the aircraft. We spoke to her. And,
yeah.
She basically got off again.
Really? Yeah, I mean, she couldn't stand it. Yeah.
So you have people like that, but it's not like a lot of times, that you have that. So
yeah, it does happen occasionally.
Deal with that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's handling people and their fears. I mean, aviation is a very, should I say, it's not a usual everyday thing for some people. So once they get into the space, the uncertainty of being in the sky, I mean, it's kind of scares some people, but I guess with time, people really get used to it. So let's get into the lifestyle of being a pilot, right? And obviously, everybody thinks it's the glitz and the glam of wearing the white shirts, just holding your suitcase and just walking in the airport, and everybody's looking at like, hey, this guy is Charlie, the way they're looking. But I know for sure it takes you away from home most of the time, and everywhere is home to you now. In the sense that you keep jumping from place to place to place. I call you the Batman because you're here today, you're going tomorrow. So how has it been, having to adjust to that lifestyle?
So right now, this last year actually has been a lot easier, I would say, because before that I was flying cargo, and
right,
that environment was a lot more
chill.
Well, I was chill, but I was away more.
Okay.
In a row.
Okay.
And with that, like the flying that I was doing was just, I mean, I think the record that I have was I flew around the world in 3 days, basically.
Whoa.
And so like one time,
every continent in 3 days.
Yeah. So I remember one time I started off in Houston. I went to Dubai, and I did Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Hong Kong, Alaska, and then back to Houston.
International globetrotter.
Around the world.
Yeah.
Almost, and like with that, it was more like, I mean, you just don't know where you are. Sometimes your body you just don't know where you are.
You're like a machine now.
I mean, you used to like, I'll wake up sometimes, maybe in like Hong Kong. I'm like, wait, am I
really?
I'm literally like walking outside.
Yeah.
Forget where I am. Like,
yeah, you just know the routes on the thing, but like you don't really know where you are, like consciously.
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you just get to the hotel, like you're just done, like you just sleep, and then you wake up and like your body just doesn't know where it's at, and that actually happens, And with that, I was also just going from place to place.
Just like that. Yeah.
I just go one time and you come back. And
do you get to experience the places you go?
Oh, yeah, you do. So like most of the time, when you reach a place, usually we have about 24 hours,
Oh, right, to yourself.
Yeah, to yourself, you go out, get to meet with the crew or, hang out or go explore something. And then you have some times where like you spend a lot of time in some place. Like I remember one time I was in Hong Kong for like 6 days.
Oh, right. So you had nothing to yourself. You just explore.
Yeah, you just explore basically.
Right.
So for the most part, I'll say, wherever you go, you do have time, to see things and you get to explore
what's happening. I mean, that's incredible. That's incredible. I mean, you get to try new food, you get to see new people, you get to have a different perspective to life. And what has been your most shocking reality or realization going around the world?
Everywhere is different, everywhere is unique. I wouldn't say necessarily a shocking realization, but then it just makes you appreciate certain things more and also understand why people are
the way they are.
Yeah, because I was just telling and I just day, our friend and I,
Yeah.
I just came back from Bangladesh,
Right.
like 2 days ago.
Right.
Yeah, and then when I was there, I was like, where are these people always in a hurry, to go? Right? It's like there was no rush, and it's like, but then you recognize that it's a country that has what, billions of people, all like let's say living in
Large group of people.
it's like,
Right.
1.3 billion people or so.
Right.
And then you realize that this is a country that has
Limited opportunities. Yeah.
in just a small space, and everybody just fighting to get a piece of something.
It's ingrained in them. Like,
So then, like on the road, it's like everybody's just honking, driving and just honk. It's like everybody there's no patience. And then, you come from this side of the water, you're like, why aren't people in line to just wait for your turn, And then you're like, and then once you're actually there, like, okay, this is really why.
this is really why.
So sometimes, you get mad about why people are
The way they
a
are.
certain way, but then
You go to their country and understand.
why it's
Yeah.
like that. You're like, okay, this is why they're like that. It's like even in Asia, for example, right? Let's say in Japan,
Right.
everybody knows like Japanese people are like by the book. They're very clean,
Very straight
very
to the
precise,
point.
very
Yeah.
respectful.
Yep.
And then you go to the other side, you're like China. It's like
Yo, it's a crazy place.
it's two different people.
Yeah.
It's all ingrained in them,
Right.
culture,
Right, right.
upbringing and all of that stuff. So
I mean, that's a good way to look at it. I mean, looking at how, for example, even to talk about Ghana and Nigeria, you are all in West Africa, but you go to that block, you understand why Nigerian is always in
just
the
good people there.
Yeah, and a lot of people, crowded, limited opportunities. It's either the strong survive or, you just kicked out of the way.
That's what it is.
And it's crazy. But looking into the future of, aviation, I mean, I would like to pick your mind on that. We see people like Elon Musk actually bringing up interventions in the car space, where but Tesla became, there was already automated digital cars being developed, but I think he has commercialized it more. Is there a space or a time where we'll see something like that happening in the aviation space, where companies are going to come up with different types of machines or airplanes that's going to automate, and then it's going to kind of affect what we've already known as the role of a pilot?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Here's why. The human element in aviation is just so important. If you look at what happened with EASA, the European Aviation
Right.
Safety Agency,
Right.
pretty much the last 2 or 3 years, they were pushing for it. They were literally trying to say, we need only one pilot inside the aircraft. And then almost to the extent where they're like, well, we probably don't even need them anymore.
Whoa.
Let you get rid of them. That's pretty much what the end goal was, almost. And then just recently, like 2 months ago or so, they were like, okay, I think this is not going to work the way we actually thought it was going to. Because they really need that.
Yeah, you really need. They need to be reassured that there's somebody in control.
As much as we have, automation, which works really well, there always has to be that human element there. Which, most people think that hey, maybe in a few years that'll probably, go away. But then I really don't think so.
You don't think so?
I really don't think so.
Right. I think that sets out, points out clear to why people actually need a pilot in a plane, because obviously you always want that reassurance that there's a human being who has this in place and is going to try and put this in place. With so much uncertainty in the sky, you really need Captain Tetteh to take you through the whole thing. But we look at also space travel being a thing. I don't know, was that something that was introduced to you guys when you guys were in school, aviation school? Do you have friends in that space who are thinking of really transcending beyond the normal terrain and then crossing?
I wouldn't say that. I don't personally know anyone who wants to do that besides, astronauts want to go to space.
Right.
But I think the evolution of space travel has come a long way.
Right.
Most to the extent that we thought it will actually not happen. You see what Musk is doing with all this stuff. He's literally ambitious. He really wants to get to Mars.
Yeah, people think he's probably joking, but I think he's serious.
He's not. He's really, really serious, And I think he has a good idea. Like he has his vision is there. He just needs the people around him just to rally to say, this will actually happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, you have guys who've been in space and back, and I don't think it's that far away, honestly, in terms of we seeing this happening. I don't think it's that far away.
Don't think so?
I don't think so.
I saw, I think recently he had this space shuttle that could go and come back, and I think he was just trying to tell the world that he can literally take people there and bring them up. The first, I think initially the challenge was sending out those space shuttles and returning them in good form, and he had a couple of crashes. We all saw that on live TV, and now he's been able to prove that, in that sense. So, I mean, but if we're given the chance, would you want to fly to space?
I mean, 100%. Will I fly myself to space? Or
I mean, like, experience it, yeah.
I mean, I'll go anywhere. I mean,
Really?
open to exploring anywhere, really.
Sure. Do you guys get like a dopamine rush when you guys fly the planes?
I don't want to call that a...
No, but there's a kind of euphoria or like not fun.
It's just that element of excitement.
Excitement, right?
That's something that you've always wanted to do, and you're actually doing it. So, and really with aviation, with flying, it's sometimes not necessarily where you go to, but it's also the people that you go with. So if you're going to like the trip, for example, you have a fun crew, that's always exciting. Yeah.
Oh, so what? So usually, right? I know when you have a long flight, what's the longest you sat flying a plane?
Me,
Yeah,
personally,
like non-stop. Like you're not stopping anywhere. Like you're in the plane from this location to this location.
the longest I have done is 15 hours. I did
15 hours.
But it was Chicago one time.
Straight flight.
15 hours, yeah. But longest I have sat in the seat. Usually we take breaks and rest. Just depends.
Okay, so you kind of swap with other.
Usually, if the flight it just depends on the rules and what you are in and where you're going and all that too.
Right.
Usually, my own personal preference. I mean, then not right now, but then I could sit for like 8 hours. That was just me.
Yeah.
But then you still have breaks. Maybe every 2 hours or so, just go back. Bathroom break, come back, and
You just come back and just control the what do you call it again?
Yoke.
Yep. Never want to forget that. But I know definitely when it comes to the professional side of things, you need to be fit, healthy to do that. When you guys get down from the planes, what do you guys do to unwind, or what do you do to unwind? I know you're
What I do,
Yeah.
personally. So most people work out. You'll be surprised. So when I started flying cargo, actually 2 or 3 years ago, I actually lost weight on the job.
Whoa.
Yeah. So the way aviation is, I mean, it's a lifestyle, especially when you're flying freight. Because the thing is, I mean, you sleep at very odd hours, you eat at very odd hours, and you sit on an airplane for like 15 hours. It's just so much to eat and drink on the airplane.
Right.
So you have to actually tell yourself, okay, I'm not eating that. I'm not eating that.
Right.
So for me, what I did was, I mean, during that frame, I told myself I'm not drinking soda on the airplane, and I'm gonna eat less carbs as much as I can.
Right.
But then the issue is, whenever you get to the layover, the hotel,
You just have to break the pattern and just
like crap.
Bro.
That is a problem.
You see that's when you go to a restaurant or the buffet, you see the lineup of food, you're like, yo, I need to reward myself for this long flight.
Just eat and just go to sleep. But then for me, I try to be active, walk, hike,
right,
something,
right.
Because if you just sit in the airplane, you just get bigger.
Yeah, you get. I mean, and it's true what you're saying, but let's bring it back home, right? And obviously, like you said, you were fortunate, you were lucky to have been given the opportunity to have this dream become a reality, right? But looking at our system in Ghana, or even in Africa, should I say, what do you think we need to do to become, the big dogs in the aviation space?
Also, if you look what's they say, the African continent is actually projected to have the largest traffic, what is it, in the next few years, I think it is, or like 20 or 42, I was reading somewhere. And for us, it's more so about government-wise,
Policy?
Yeah, because if you look at some of these countries that are doing really well, for example, Ethiopia, let's say, government-run airline, and they seem to be doing it really, really,
Really, really well.
and you ask yourself, why
They be able to do that? Yeah.
doing that? You look at other countries, for example, like Rwanda right now.
I think they're picking up, eh?
They're really doing well.
Mm.
And also certain things that are there in place for them. So, for example, with them, they have, I think Qatar Airways owns about 49% of them.
Oh, really? For Rwanda?
For Rwanda Airline. So they have
It's a good partnership.
they have some kind of stake in it.
Oh.
So then you ask yourself, if you have an airline like this that has a huge company like them in there, and
You can't fail.
I mean, you cannot.
You cannot fail. Yeah, you're going to audit the books.
Responsibility there.
Yeah.
So I think it all begins with that. With us here, you have to have it all begins up there.
Right. Right.
Until you have those in place,
We can't
we just can't go anywhere.
we can't go anywhere. Because I know Ghana obviously had their time where we had the Ghana Airways. Yeah, I mean, a lot of our parents probably went around the world with.
From them, yeah.
Yeah. So we at this age, we have not had the experience of having a Ghanaian-owned international airline, and I mean, there's a future we are hoping in our lifetime we see. But like you're saying, it all starts from the top policy-wise, right? And I mean, looking at it, do you think that there'll be more people interested in going to the aviation space if we had an industry functioning in the country?
Absolutely. I mean, this is an industry where there are people hoping to actually go into it. The only thing
At all levels.
Yeah, at all levels, whether it's flying or ATC or management or anything else.
With an engineering space.
But the only thing is, I mean, if you don't have that infrastructure there, or the actual airline running, how do you get these people there? So now you have people who have to leave the country, to go to the and all that. So that's the main issue that we have.
I mean, if there was an industry here, people could come back and still help contribute to the industry we find ourselves in. Right. So if you had, let's say, a young child here in Ghana who had the dream of becoming a pilot, right? Let's say they also had a stint of luck that maybe that would help them to get to that point. What would you say to them?
Just keep working hard, follow your dreams, just keep going. Because as much as, you have an end goal that this is where I want to be, that road is always not necessarily clear, to say, hey, I'll be here at this time, I'll be here at this point in my life.
So much uncertainty?
It is. And that's just how the aviation industry is. I mean, so when I first went to Embraer, that was in 2012.
Right.
I mean, for me, I went.
You were young.
I was maybe 17 or so at the time. I don't know.
Were you the youngest in your class?
Probably
One of.
Yeah. So I went in with the whole idea of, you know what, let me just go to school, just
focus,
keep at it, and then just see what happened after that. I didn't have any idea of, this is where I'm going to end up. I mean, I had plan, okay, I kind of want to go here, I want to do that. But then the industry is just so fluid.
So fluid, yeah?
Yeah. I mean, if you look at, with aviation, for example, right, there's always something happening every 7 to 9 years, let's say, 10 years. So, for example, you look at 2001, what happened then? 9/11, right? So you had people.
There's a lot of phobia with flights.
Wasn't necessarily with the phobia of flights, but you had a lot of people laid off.
Right.
Then, the aviation industry wasn't really doing too well. And then you had, oh, wait, what happened then? Recession happened.
And then,
we had 2020, Corona happened,
it keeps changing. Exactly. Yeah, because I mean, during COVID, I'm sure you guys had a lot of uncertainty with the future of aviation because all airports were shut down. The requirements to travel were just crazy.
I mean, I was literally in some airports sometimes and literally I am the only one in the airport.
Crazy.
The whole terminal,
bro. So there were no staff there.
I mean, there was just nobody around, just nobody flying.
You could own the airport at that point. Yeah.
So what happened then was in 2020, then there was a whole new wave of cargo flying. Because then, basically
people went up, transport, goods.
So then that industry was booming. Oh, cargo was,
next level.
Up like crazy. I mean, everybody was just shipping things here and there.
That's the only way, stuff could move around. Yeah. I mean, it was faster, and people could not move around and everything. Oh wow, COVID. So COVID experience was it good, bad?
Luckily I wasn't laid off then, because I was flying freight then, so it wasn't as bad. I know people were in the airlines, passenger aviation that were laid off, and it was a hard thing to actually take in then, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
And then the fortunate thing for us in that industry was that we actually came back sooner than we all thought.
Right, it came just like an overnight thing.
2020.
You're just calling everybody back to work.
It was just back to work, and everybody was hiring again, and everything was. So that was just a good thing for us then.
That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just going to go into a few quick fire questions just to keep the fun going. So, if you're on a flight, what type of music are you listening to?
I actually don't listen to music when I'm flying. Yeah.
Even as a passenger?
As a passenger, I typically don't listen to music. Mostly, I'm just reading, or I'm just
chilling.
Hopefully, there's actually TV to watch now.
You take a movie, right?
But most of the time, I don't listen to music on an airplane.
Right. So what do you watch then?
Oh,
anime?
Yeah. No, I'm not into that. I like documentaries.
Oh, great! Hey,
anything and everything.
Just exploring.
Just anything, everything. Just learn
something new.
Somewhere new, and look into us where I can go next, and see what's new.
See what you do. Yeah,
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's interesting. So another question: who is the GOAT of the aviation industry? In basketball we have Michael Jordan. I have to change that. I'll call it LeBron. Yeah, bro. In recent times he's doing stuff. Yeah, he's doing different stuff that's kind of like shifting me towards the King James gang. But in aviation, who is that guy that everybody looks up to and say, oh, this guy really changed the game, or somebody you guys kind of read about,
So the way aviation is, it's not really this one go-to. It's, obviously like any airline, maybe there's just that one guy or maybe two guys who have done something great.
Right.
That everybody say, okay, I kind of want to be like this guy, mentorship-wise. But overall in the industry, you have people that have mobilized things at different times, who have had change or impact here and there. So there isn't really like that go-to, I'll say, that I can say, okay, this is a guy in aviation that I want to be. Everybody has their own
path. Yeah.
So there isn't really that.
There's not really that one guy that you can say, hey, this is the guy. But it's the system that's created and the companies that kind of govern everything, right, and makes everything work around the clock. And that's great to know. But yeah, so it's been great having you, Eric, on the Good Talk podcast. I know there's so much more we could delve into, explore, but it's been great having you on here. And I know you're definitely going to have another one.
Sure.
Where we talk about maybe your exploits in travels and everything.
Exploits and travels?
Yeah, 84 countries. Am I right?
That's correct. Yeah.
84.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, I'm looking to do a lot more of Africa travels now.
Oh, so it's mostly been where? Europe?
It's been like, Europe, Asia, Middle East. That's mostly where I've been. But that's my goal, is just to stay more here in Africa.
Africa and explore.
Yeah, because I've not been to that many places on here, so look forward to doing that.
Right. And what are some of the cultural shocks you've had? Being an African and being around the world. I know you've spoken about some of the differences, but what are the cultural shocks that you actually experience? Like, hey, these people, they'll be different kind of human beings. They'll be different.
Everywhere has this thing. Let's say you go like East Africa, right? For example, like here in Ghana, we say Ghana man time. It's slow.
Right.
Man, I was in Angola, and I was in Tanzania. Tell you what, man, that place, like, everybody's on their own time. You think like, yeah,
bro,
we're so
yeah, next level, yeah.
It's not like they don't care, but it's like, oh yeah, it would happen whenever it happens.
Huh?
Yeah, it's like everybody's just in their own time,
Like you go set a date to somebody and like, yo,
what would happen whenever it's like, you know, everybody's just slow,
Pretty chill.
do anything.
But I think Ghanaians are the ones known to be more laid back than everybody.
That's what you think. That's what you think. But I was like, wow, I saw that. I was like, wow, this is a whole different place. And then you go to a place like Saudi Arabia, and it's like everybody's just like in their own world. Most people don't take responsibility for like anything. You know, it's like, oh, this person will take care of it, whatever. You know, it's like, how does the country run like this?
Wow.
You know, so everywhere has this thing. But yeah, that's some of the things I've seen that I'm like, okay, I didn't think that this actually happened here. Yeah.
Crazy. So I know obviously we fly Delta and we're for Delta now. So I know obviously there are other top competitors in the space. How competitive is the aviation space now? Obviously, I know Qatar. I mean, service wise in terms of.
I mean, yeah, you have in the US you have the big three, you know,
which are Delta,
United, American.
Okay.
And then you have let's say in the, you know, like in Asia, I think you have Cathay, you have Japan Airlines, maybe Korean Air, maybe I think those are the huge ones there. Middle East, you have, you know, Emirates, Etihad, Qatar. And of course, in Europe, you have, you know, British Airways, KLM,
right,
Lufthansa. So everywhere has their own thing, you know.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting. So another question I have for you, like, if you could have dinner with any historical figure in the world, present, alive, dead, who would that be?
Donald Trump.
Ah, really?
100%.
Why?
100%.
Talk to me about it.
Donald Trump has definitely, you know, had a huge impact in this world we're right now. I mean, he used to want to win last election up to now, basically, you know, what has happened. I mean, if you have somebody who had a comeback, like never
comeback in, I guess.
Comeback like never before. And you have somebody who is actually doing what they said
you're gonna do.
Actually doing it.
Yeah, you like to sit with him and have a conversation. What's your thought process? Like, how do you do this?
I just want to pick his brain, that's all.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has their own, you know, choice. Democrats, Republicans. In Ghana, we have NDC, MPP. It's all up to you. But I think I agree with you. He's a good, worthy candidate to have. Maybe, hopefully, on the Good Talk podcast, you might have him one day. I'm manifesting it now.
One day,
right. Yeah. Right. I mean, that's a great person to look at too. Yeah, interesting. But yeah, Eric, thank you so much for coming on. It's been incredible. I've loved every bit of this conversation. I look forward to, you know, having the whole world see this and hear your story, and hopefully we bring you back again for a more advanced conversation we're going to have.
We're looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, so thank you so much, bro. It's great having you,
buddy.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.